Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins, and this is my good buddy Brandon, and we are here to we're back. We're back for our Thanksgiving break, and we're going to go over some movie news, Mike's wrestling fun facts and trivia, and AEW this week. Probably talk a little bit about AEW over the last couple weeks, as a matter of fact, since we were off for the holiday break here. But if you're finding this for the very first time, by all means, please click that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. This is our weekly show where we like to go over all these different topics, and we always like to start out our shows with some movie news, because I know some audiences are not big fans of pro wrestling or NFL or Funko Pops or whatever it might be that we may be talking about later on in the show. So let's start off with some of the movie news over the last few weeks here. We've got a lot to cover, and let's get into it here, starting with a little bit of news out of the world of Star Wars. Star Wars cast its live-action Sabine Wren actress for the Rosario Dawson Ahsoka show. The upcoming slate of Star Wars content on Disney Plus is something to behold. Projects like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor highlight the next 12 months for the franchise, but it's the supposed first Star Wars streaming series of 2023 that will turn plenty of heads. Ahsoka is in the process of shooting right now and looks to be aiming for an early 2023 release date. Rosario Dawson is back as Jedi Master Ahsoka Tano after her live-action debut in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, and Hayden Christensen will be reprising his role as Anakin Skywalker in some capacity as well. He'll also be returning in the Obi-Wan series next year. One name that has remained blank on the call sheet for the project, though, has been Mandalorian Sabine Wren from Star Wars Rebels. Well, Ahsoka has apparently found their hand-painted Mandalorian in the Society and Guns Akimbo's Natasha Bordizzo. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
My microphone got unplugged.
Wow. Hey, we're live, everybody. Deadline.
I was like, what the
Deadline has revealed that Natasha Bordizzo has been cast as Sabine Wren in the upcoming Ahsoka series. Bordizzo will star opposite Rosario Dawson in the show. It has been known for some time that Sabine would be closely tied to the Ahsoka series. The project will supposedly center on the search for Ezra Bridger by the way of the evil Grand Admiral Thrawn, a journey that Ahsoka and Sabine set off on at the back end of Star Wars Rebels. So it was only a matter of time before the neon-colored Mandalorian was cast. So yes, we now have an actress who has been cast in live action to portray the Mandalorian Sabine. And I don't know if you've seen Star Wars Rebels or not, Brandon. Have you?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
not
so
a lot of it, but I've seen it.
Now, in that show, minor spoiler here, she was once a holder of the Darksaber. And for many of you who don't know what the Darksaber is, I'm sure if you've seen The Mandalorian, you have an idea what it is now. Of course, the Darksaber itself, was, clearly used by the rulers of Mandalore over the years and things like that. So it's going to be tying into future storylines here with The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and all these Star Wars shows that are going to be combining together here. And on top of the Ahsoka casting with Sabine Wren, we also have another casting announcement for Ahsoka, and that is, of course, Pacific Rim Uprising actress has been cast as well in an unknown role. I can't remember what was the name of the actress's name here. Ivana Sakno. Don't know who she is. Kind of an unknown to me, but she's been cast in a newly created character that is going to be in the Mandalorian spinoff. So we don't know a whole lot about the character that she will be portraying here, but three beautiful young ladies in this show, no doubt about it. But I'll be watching the show for the plot. But don't hurt to have a little eye candy for sure. But
Brother,
anyway,
you gonna get canceled.
But hey, red-blooded American man. What can I say? But,
Hey,
so yes, I'm very excited to see where they're going to take the Sabine Wren character, obviously with the search for Ezra Bridger, which was also cast, I believe, being played by Mina Massoud, who played the live-action Aladdin, if you've seen that movie. So I think that's a good casting as well, assuming that's accurate. I think there's even talks of Lars Mikkelsen being cast as Grand Admiral Thrawn, who provided the voice for Grand Admiral Thrawn in the Rebels series. So if all those casting, shake out to be accurate, this show has got a all-star cast already for this big, coming together of all these characters. And we'll probably get more of a Bo-Katan, played by Katie Sackhoff, and things like that as well. So are you looking forward to the Ahsoka series? Are you a big fan of the Ahsoka character in general?
I liked her. Like I said, I didn't watch a lot of Rebels, Jaden's probably seen it more than I have, but I'm the one who turned him on to watching it. But yeah.
I mean, clearly in Rebels they did a lot of work, especially involving the Sabine character, and especially showing some of the lore of the Mandalorians and how Mandalore was sacked by the Empire, which they still really haven't shown on screen, which I'd love to see more of.
That's funny because, I've been playing Star Wars The Old Republic. Mandalore is actually in Star Wars The Old Republic.
Okay.
And the only way you get to see him is if you play Bounty Hunter.
Kind of makes sense a little bit.
After a little spoiler here, after you win the Great Hunt, you actually go to talk to him, and he says something to the effect of he's taking some time away from the hunt because he has to go kill people for the Empire or something. But later on in the story, something happens. I ain't gonna tell you what, but
I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to that game. But
something happens.
One of these days I'll get to it.
But if you want to know a lot about Mandalorian lore, playing the Bounty Hunter is a great way to find out.
Okay, well, I may have to do that because I'm a big fan of the Mandalorians.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. You see, they have their own language, which is pretty dope. And
which they've brought into the series a little bit at times and things like that, for sure.
And you get to see how they treat outsiders in a sense. Like the Great Hunt is your way into the Mandalorians, so to speak, but you are an outsider for all intents and purposes, and they treat you as such. They have a load of customs and stuff, especially you'll find all that stuff out after you win the Great Hunt and you become Hunt Master, and then you go talk to Mandalore. There's a list. So you remember in the first episode of Mandalorian, right, where he goes and collects the bounty and all that shit.
The pucks. Yeah.
Yes. How that works is there's a list of targets, but once you reach a certain status, and this only comes in the Great Hunt. Now I don't know if the Great Hunt is actually part of Mandalore. I want to say it is because they make references to it in the story itself. They have what's called the blacklist, and only the top tier hunters are able to participate on that blacklist. And that blacklist, you hunt down Jedi, Sith, all kind of stuff, and on the blacklist. But the blacklist is where you find a lot of real interesting lore about Mandalorians, especially some of the targets.
Well, it'd be interesting to see too, because that game was kind of brought out before a lot of the Mandalorians TV series and the Rebels series. So a lot of the lore is probably changed in canon to a degree, I'm sure. But I'm sure a lot of it is still there because they draw
a lot of the names, because there's a lot of names that are in Star Wars lore now that are in this game.
Right.
We talked about Revan. We've talked about the Rule of Two, which there's a mention of the Rule of Two in this. In the game, I think it's from the Sith Warrior perspective. Yeah, because there's something with Tulak Horde, and then they talk about Revan, and there's a whole quest line dedicated to Revan. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, no, you're fine. No, I mean, but yeah, just kind of tying it back into the series a little bit though. Like, I'm just kind of curious to see where they're going to go with Sabine because of the Darksaber stuff. We know that at the end of Mandalorian season 2, that Din Djarin now is the possessor of the Darksaber, and we're going to be getting more of that with Bo-Katan wanting to repossess that to take control of her homeworld of Mandalore again. How will Sabine maybe play into that as well as a former holder of that sword? Which was interesting because in the Mandalorian they talked about how you have to win that sword, but in Rebels she was just given that sword at one point. So again, did they contradict their own canon already, or could they possibly explain why that Sabine was able to just accept it at one point? Because I think it was kind of unclaimed at that point because Darth Maul had it. So maybe there's a little bit of a canon explanation there that they've yet to tell us.
He is also a very interesting person.
Who? Darth Maul?
Darth Maul.
And what? In
I
what
listened
context?
I listened to a book. I can't remember what that was. But I think it was a book you told me about.
Oh, probably.
And his whole origin is pretty dope.
Which is another thing they really haven't expanded upon in canon a whole
No.
lot. I mean, maybe a little bit in some comics and things like that, but not so much in the series or anything. But we'll hopefully get more of him because there is a rumored Darth Maul animated series possibly centered around Crimson Dawn and his time between Episode 3 and Rebels, somewhere in between there. We don't know a whole lot about around the time of Solo, so we could get more of him as well. But I'm looking forward to seeing where all this goes, all this shakes out. We're obviously going to be getting the Book of Boba Fett here at the end of December, which is right around the corner. And they just recently announced that it will be 7 episodes long, so it'll be running into February. But on top of all that, Kathleen Kennedy, who I went on a little bit of a rant about a couple weeks ago on the show about how she's had directors drop out of certain movie roles and things like that, and I kind of criticized the fact that this continues to keep happening with her. Well, I must have jinxed that too, because apparently she's signed a new 3-year deal with Lucasfilm. She's not going anywhere because all her projects, regardless of whether or not they're well liked by fans, do continue to make billions of dollars. So, but at the same time, you got to give her credit where it's due. The Mandalorian and Boba Fett, all the stuff that people are enjoying, she also did greenlight. But she was in the news also, besides just signing his new deal, but she's also talked about the fact that we could be getting more stories involving the sequel characters. So let's check out this article from the Direct. Star Wars boss Kathleen Kennedy teases the return of the Rise of Skywalker's actors. Disney has had its ups and downs with Star Wars since acquiring the franchise in 2012. When The Force Awakens hit theaters, Star Wars fans were eagerly filling up seats for the first time since 2005's Revenge of the Sith. The film became an instant hit at the box office, amassing over $936 million in the United States and Canada alone, which is still the record for the highest domestic gross.
Yeah, they got my money.
Yeah, they did mine too. Fans were ecstatic about what the rest of the sequel trilogy would bring until the next film, The Last Jedi, was released in 2017. The movie divided the fandom completely down the middle, with around half of the viewers praising it as one of the best Star Wars movies, and the other half claiming it was one of the worst. Then The Rise of Skywalker came along in 2019, and many viewers were disappointed with the way it closed out not only the trilogy, but the entire Skywalker saga as a whole. So now she's talking about we could be getting the return of sequel characters living on in other projects. She said, quote, "Certainly those are not characters we're going to forget. They will live on, and those conversations that are going on with the creative team as well to involve these characters." So could we be getting more movies, animated series? But it sounds like
they should try episode with like live action TV series.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you get the actors back, I know the actor who played Finn was kind of disenfranchised with the series for a while there because he felt like they weren't using his character like they could have. I know they kind of teased the fact that he was force sensitive at the end of Rise of Skywalker. You could go that route. Obviously, Rey could definitely train a new generation of Jedi like Luke was originally destined to do, but did not end up doing, which ticked a lot of fans off as well. The actor of Poe is obviously very busy right now with the Moon Knight series that'll be coming from the MCU here soon, and of course, Adam Driver has expressed interest of coming back as Kylo Ren, Ben Solo. Now, you would think that would have to be a prequel of some sort before he becomes Kylo Ren or something, due to the way the character ended up. But who knows? I mean, there are possibilities for these characters. And as much as I wasn't a big fan of maybe some of the creative decisions of the sequels, I do still find enjoyment in watching them. I know a lot of people probably don't agree with that. That's fine, to each their own. But regardless of whether you like the movies as a whole themselves, you got to admit that those characters at least have some possibilities to, explore further in the future. Yes. I think that's just my opinion. Do you have any other thoughts on it?
No, I agree with you 100%. Now, I didn't see Rise of the Skywalker.
Really? I didn't know that.
No, but Deb and Jaden did. And I think Jaden being a Star Wars fan, he enjoyed it. Deb was a little more critical, but I still think she enjoyed it. Obviously, she's more critical because she's seen all of them.
It's kind of like me, just more of a knows the whole lore and all that stuff. Yeah. To me, it was more of, because like the article mentioned, Last Jedi was divisive amongst fans. Some people loved it. I tend to have liked it.
I was kind of in the middle.
It was definitely unexpected.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, Rise of Skywalker tried to do this thing where, all right, let's make everybody happy and let's get a little bit on nostalgia. Let's do the safe thing, and And even though there was a couple of decisions, there was a little risky, but you had to kind of tie things up early. My biggest issue with it was when they decided to do this new trilogy, it felt like they didn't have an end point in mind, and they just kind of made it up as they went along. Yeah. And that's never a good thing. Look at the MCU; they plan things out and know exactly where they're going before they even start to go there. That's what I want Star Wars to start doing, and I hope they've learned their lesson. But as for the characters, yeah, I think especially Rey in particular, I think that they've got a lot of potential to explore her, especially if you're going to do an episode 10, 11, and 12, or if you just do a series after 9 or whatever it might be. But again, animated shows could be great. Series, I'm down for whatever they want to do as long as it makes narrative sense and either continues the story. But I still think Star Wars bread and butter is either prequels way in the past, like the Old Republic.
I would love to see the Old Republic on the screen,
right?
Even if it's an animated series.
Yeah, exactly. Or spin-offs like The Mandalorian or Boba Fett in the current timeline that kind of expand on the lore, or way in the future, maybe Rey 30 years from now or 20 years from now, and then get away from the Skywalkers, which is nothing wrong. I love the Skywalkers.
But you can also use this opportunity to make new heroes.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. And I think that's what they should do. And I hope they will and try something new. But then again, everybody wants them to try something new, and they try with Last Jedi, and everybody crapped on them. So
here's the thing. Go with an alien. Don't make him human.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, yeah, I'd be fine with that.
The
Look
Jedi,
at Ahsoka.
you think about this, the Jedi are the only ones who openly accept, well, I mean, unless you're, a bounty hunter in a sense, they don't really give a shit. But Jedis are the only one, if you go Republic or Jedi, who don't shit on aliens. The Empire can't stand aliens. They'll have them work for them, yes, but they treat them like slaves.
Yeah, I mean, all the stormtroopers were human. So,
with the exception of Chiss, but that's a very,
which is something else that I want them to explore, and I hope Mandalorian does that.
With Thrawn,
exactly.
But the Chiss would be the only exception. No, there's 2 exceptions, and I don't think there are any purebloods anymore.
I'm not sure. Well, not only that, keep this in mind too. Between episode 6 and 7. There's like a 25-year gap, I think, maybe 30 years. I think it's 25. But you got the Mandalorian 5 years after Return of the Jedi, so you've got a 20-year gap between the Mandalorian stuff that's going on now and 7. There is plenty of room to explore all sorts of possibilities. Maybe not with the sequel characters like we're talking about here, but you just reintroduced a young CGI Luke Skywalker, picking up baby Grogu at the end of Mandalorian season 2. So who's to say we don't get young Han, Leia, and Luke somehow with the technology we now have for de-aging and bringing back characters who are no longer with us when the actors have passed away. I'm just saying there's always that realm of possibility out there to still tinker with that timeline a little bit. But we'll just have to wait and see what they do. I'm very excited for it all. I mean, of course, I'm gonna watch anything Star Wars related, just because I'm a big geek and nerd. But at the same time, hopefully whatever they do is mapped out well and is told very well. That's all.
Like I said, I know you are this, and that's part of the reason why I want you to experience the Old Republic, but also Knights of the Old Republic when it comes back out.
Oh, the remaster. Yeah, I'll definitely have to get on all that. Video games and me, it's like so many, little time.
But I just know that you would enjoy it.
I would. You're right. You're absolutely right.
You know what I mean? Like being this Star Wars, I'm saying nerd, but I don't mean it in any negative connotation. But being such a Star Wars fan, it's fucking awesome. Like I'm like, me not knowing as much as I know, like you, comparatively to you, these games has helped me tremendously. And like I said, there is a lot of lore that carries over to the current Star Wars world, obviously, because a lot of it took place beforehand. Right. So some of these characters, that you hear about in current lore also have a standing in previous lore.
Right.
Not all of it, obviously, because a lot of it is for story, this, that, and the third. But the majority of characters that are talked about, especially like old Sith Lords and shit you hear about now, were there then.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's pretty dope.
Well, and that's something I want to see them explore more in canon, because we've gotten little snippets about the original Mandalorian Jedi who had the darksaber stuff. There's things about the Mandalorians versus the Jedi, the war they had, that we've never really seen.
That's also talked about.
I mean, there's stuff there. How the Empire ransacked Mandalore to begin with is something we've really not got into. Maybe the Bad Batch will explore a little of that. I don't know. But there's gaps in the story at all times. And I feel like Star Wars does that intentionally to set up new storytelling possibilities at some point, which is the genius of some of the stuff they do over there. But at the same time, we want to know, and we can't get all these stories. But sometimes novels and comics helps out with that. But there's all sorts of stuff to explore. We'll have to see where they go. But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited about Sabine Wren being cast in the Ahsoka? Are you excited about possibly Finn, Rey, Poe, and maybe even Kylo Ren Ben Solo could be returning in some sort of form in some sort of project coming down the line here? Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. All right, let's move on to the next movie news topic. And this, of course, comes to us from InsideTheMagic.net. Without getting too political into this, let's discuss it from a movie's perspective. Let's try to keep that in mind. All right, Brandon? Disney reportedly developing standalone Jack Sparrow movie without Johnny Depp. When we think of Pirates of the Caribbean, there's one character.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll move on.
Because, nope, never mind.
Well, let me finish reading, then we can talk. There is one character that always comes to mind for the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and that is, of course, Jack Sparrow. Johnny Depp was brought on for the Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl to play Captain Jack Sparrow. Depp created his own rendition of the character that was a mix of a ladies' man, much like Pepe Le Pew, as well as a drunken, charismatic mess. He often mentioned how he, mirrored the Keith Richards when he was coming up with this character, who incidentally ends up being his father in the movies. Yeah. Disney did not initially have this version of Sparrow in mind when it was written, though. In fact, the screenwriters wrote the role for Hugh Jackman, hence Captain Jack. Other actors like Robert De Niro had to turn down the role until it ultimately trickled down to Johnny Depp. While Depp was acting, Disney even questioned his choices, wondering if he was taking the character too far. Of course, Disney quickly learned to trust in Depp's process after the movie brought in tons of financial revenue at the box office. Jack Sparrow would continue to helm the Pirates of the Caribbean films for 5 movies and would appear in multiple renditions of the attraction in the Disney parks worldwide, which makes me wonder if that's still there. I wonder if that's there. That'd be interesting to check out. Fans of the franchise fell in love with Depp, which is why Depp getting the boot from the role created chaos. Of course, all the stuff that happened with his ex-wife Amber Heard, which we won't get into a whole lot here. But it's a he said, she said thing, and we'll let everything settle out in court or whatnot. But inside sources have now shared that Disney is developing a Jack Sparrow solo project. This project will not include Johnny Depp. This is a bold move by Disney. Audiences have grown fond of Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. We were able to confirm with a source, this article says, that the new project will be a solo one, so Jack Sparrow will be at the center of this story. It is also clear that Depp is not involved, but we were unable to confirm what the story will be about. To me, I don't know about you, but just coming at it from a movie's perspective, how this is going to work.
It's not.
I don't know, because to me,
it's not.
I don't think so either. I agree with you. This is like everybody wants to see Johnny Depp do this. No one else is going to suffice. But then again,
never mind. I was about
no.
crazy.
But it's like then again, how many times have we seen Batman recast? How many times have we seen? It's a little different.
That is different.
Agreed.
That is
I agree.
So different because Batman can be a character that you.
The only thing I think this can maybe work somehow is if it's either animated or a prequel where he's so young he don't look like Johnny Depp. Other than that, I don't know if this works either.
Because
that's just my opinion.
There's no one who's going to be able to pull off.
I agree.
The charismatic nature that Johnny Depp has with Jack Sparrow. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. You're not going to have the same mannerisms because if you try to fake it or replicate it, it's going to look jerky and weird.
Yeah, I don't think it would fit doing the whole.
The way he spoke. Nope.
Yeah, I don't see either. I mean, never say never. Obviously, Disney has other projects with the Pirates of the Caribbean already lined up with Karen Gillan, who plays Nebula in the Guardians of the Galaxy films and Endgame and all this stuff. They've also got Margot Robbie, who plays Harley Quinn. They're going to be doing their own Pirates of the Caribbean films. Great actresses. But again, Pirates of the Caribbean,
they're not playing Jack Sparrow.
I know. And that's what Pirates of the Caribbean is centered on. For the most part. I mean, you could do it without him, but people go to see Jack Sparrow. That's what they go to see. And I thought the reason why the last movie was a step up compared to the fourth one is because they brought back, Will Turner. They brought back, Elizabeth, some of the older characters from the original trilogy. And even though that film left off on a pseudo cliffhanger at the end of the post-credit scene, if you take the post-credit scene out of it, though, it actually ends in a good spot for the story to just be done. And I had no problem with it if that was the final one. I wanted to see the sixth one with the little tease they gave. But if they don't decide to bring Johnny Depp back, I hear he's got another court hearing coming up early next year, and maybe he gets vindicated. Who knows? Maybe they decide to bring him back, but they may be done.
Even if he does get vindicated. They're not going to say they were wrong,
and that's probably why he wouldn't come back. Then they may just be done and moving on.
Like if you cast me out.
Oh, you mean by him may not want to come back? Okay.
Why would I? Why would I put myself in that situation? You already given up on me. You flat out. Nope.
I mean, I can understand why he wouldn't want to do that. Then I mean. But again, I don't want to get into who's what and all that stuff. But I just thought it was interesting to talk about, if that could possibly work. Because honestly, I don't know. As much as I'm a fan of the franchise, and I wasn't at first, but I just feel like, this may be a franchise kind of like Harry Potter, where if you don't go back to what worked, it may not sustain. So we'll have to wait and see what they do, but this is definitely something that I don't know if I'd be interested in without Johnny Depp. That's just one man's opinion. It sounds like Brandon kind of, I don't know if he cares about the series, but
I do. I like the series.
Do you like it? Okay, well, I didn't know if that was the case. Or
not without him.
I got you. Well, and I think you share a lot of people's opinions on that. But the real question is, what do you guys think about the fact that they could be doing a Captain Jack Sparrow project without Johnny Depp? Do you agree with that?
Just don't call it Jack Sparrow. You can call it anything else.
I don't know. I understand your frustration, but we'll see what they do here. Comment down below and let us know what you guys think. Let's move on to something maybe a little less controversial, which is hard to do in today's world nowadays, believe me. But DC, I don't know about less controversial, but here we go. Listen, we did Star Wars, we got DC, we got a little Marvel news coming up too before too much longer. But DC, though, we've now got a little bit of news from Danny DeVito. Yes, Danny DeVito is talking in the news now about the fact that he kind of wants to come back and play the Penguin again.
Hey, man, I loved him as the Penguin the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. 1992's Batman Returns is one of my favorite movies as a kid.
I felt so bad for him at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, he kind of, gave you that bit of sympathy.
I was like, dude, I feel bad.
Maniacal maniac, but at the same time, you felt a little bad for him.
You rotten piece of shit, but don't pull at my heartstrings, man.
The DC Extended Universe is certainly taking some unique steps forward and expanding its story by looking to the past while developing its future movies and TV shows. The most prominent example of this will come in 2022's The Flash film, which sees Ezra Miller's Flash team up with Michael Keaton's Batman as he makes an unexpected return to the Cape and Cow. While Ben Affleck's DCEU take on the Cape Crusader will play a small role in the movie alongside Keaton, the star behind the 1989 version of Batman has made waves since he was first rumored to return in 2020. Keaton himself said returning to the iconic role was like riding a bike, as his comeback opens the door for what the DCEU multiverse could hold. It's unclear who will be in Keaton's path on the villain front, though, after first coming to blows with Jack Nicholson's Joker and Danny DeVito's Penguin. As it turns out, with Keaton now back, one of his former co-stars sees an opportunity for a comeback of his own. In an interview with Forbes, Danny DeVito revealed that he's interested in playing the role on the Penguin again after his role in 1992's Batman Returns. He said, quote, "I feel like it's not out of the question that the Penguin will return someday. But this is all up to Tim." He's talking about Tim Burton, the director of the first two films. "Whether or not Tim wants to do this. I would say that could be in the cards because we ain't dead yet." He could do a continuation of what we had in the past because that was truly a brilliant movie. They afforded me that opportunity and I feel very grateful and would like to revisit it. Why not, I say. It was a really great moment in time for me. Now, here's my thing with that one. I don't know if Tim Burton really has a say in this anymore because obviously the DCEU is moving on to some other things. And Michael Keaton doing a time travel thing with the Flash coming back into the fold. But again, Danny DeVito's Penguin dies at the end of Batman Returns. So
yeah, for all we know.
But again, it could be one of those like Spider-Man No Way Home things where some of the villains who died in previous movies could still be alive in certain timelines. Never say never. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd be okay with the Penguin coming back, even though we are going to get
that movie, man.
Yeah, I know. We are going to get another version of the Penguin played by Colin Farrell in the Batman with Robert Pattinson coming up here in March of 2022.
It's not going to be the same. He's not going to be some short, fat dude.
Well, he's going to be a fat dude, but it's all makeup and stuff, which you can't even tell it's Colin Farrell, which is incredible. But at the same time, it's not set in the DCU timeline with the Michael Keaton stuff going on. So Another realm of possibility.
Where he just bit into that fish was gross.
Oh yeah, that was just like, yeah, with the flippers. He
went for it, dude. He was like,
I'll teach you my French flipper trick. That whole. I mean, you can clearly tell he was having a ball.
And the way he was eating, he's like,
yeah, just dripping off his lip. Yeah, it was great stuff. But hey, I don't know if Michelle Pfeiffer will come back, get into the skin tight spandex, but Penguin though, by all means, and I hope, I don't think we'll get Jim Carrey back as Riddler.
He was a good Riddler, man.
If you want him to play the Joker, that's what he was kind of doing. It was more Riddler, Joker than Riddler in my eyes. Even though I love, they're not real great movies.
There's a distinct difference between the two.
Yeah, Riddler, I guess he was just very over the top. You know?
Riddler was. It's all about the games with him. That's what got him excited. Joker, just wanted to see the world burn.
If they bring back 80, 90-year-old Jack Nicholson as the Joker, I don't think so.
What did he say? Where does he get all these wonderful toys?
Yeah. I mean, again, iconic. But, would I love to see it for nostalgia's sakes? I mean, sure. I mean, it seems like what we do in Hollywood now.
When he pulled that
way out his pants, and then it was,
said bang at the end of that motherfucker.
It was awesome.
He was like...
And how Batman's Batwing missed him, I never could.
He didn't
understand.
move either.
He targeted him and he still missed. It's like, what happened there?
Where does he get these wonderful toys?
Yeah. But great movie. Tim Burton had some great classics back then. Now I don't know I don't remember if anything Tim Burton's done in recent memory. I think he does still directed things like that.
You remember when it was to the bank of the party scene where he just comes in doing like the shuffle. The dude's got the big boom box. He walks in and fucking takes somebody's drink and then sucker punches another.
Painting all the stuff. Yeah, painting all the pictures on the wall. He's like dancing with the statues. Oh yeah. Jack Nicholson was great. It still is. Big Laker fan. You sometimes see him at the Laker game, the courtside. But I mean,
now I want to watch that movie again.
I mean, if you're bringing back Doc Ock, Green Goblin, all this stuff in Marvel, who's to say DC don't pull that trick? I mean, you have to make it make narrative sense.
Yeah.
A Flash movie would
be it.
But I don't think he's in that movie. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't be talking at all.
Batman would probably be the only one that's in that movie.
Most likely.
It serves a purpose.
Even though now they're saying Michael Keaton could become the next Nick Fury for the DC world, and he may be their Batman.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I know.
Never mind.
It just all depends on how they do it.
Like I told you, I really wish they would have took the Batman Beyond approach,
and they still could,
because you could have used Michael Keaton as that older Batman. Because Terry, what was his fucking name?
McGinnis.
Terry McGinnis.
Yeah.
Old Bruce Wayne and Ace was his mentor. And how he even became Batman was he stumbled upon the Batcave.
Kind of like, well, not exactly like at the end of Dark Knight Return or Dark Knight Rises.
Kind of like, yeah.
Kind of, and then you could have taken that character and kind of done that kind of thing, which I get. Christopher Nolan's trilogy kind of sets apart, but and I've heard a lot of.
I think it would have been so dope to have that, because this allows you to bring in characters like Static X. I know they're doing a TV series or whatever.
Static Shock,
X.
you mean?
Static Shock. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but
but it's kind of one of those things too. I've heard the opposite side of that coin. Me and you would get a kick out of Terry McGinnis. Comic book nerds, we'd get a kick out of that and seeing that on the big screen, Batman Beyond. But to the general movie-going audience, most people have no clue who Terry McGinnis is. And this is
how you would know.
Now, you could definitely introduce, most people didn't have any idea who Iron Man was when the MCU started. So,
exactly.
so I mean, nobody could do that.
A lot of people didn't know who Thor was past the fucking muscles.
I mean, you could ask people on the street, 90% of them are going to say, if you ask them who's Batman, they're going to say Bruce Wayne. They're not going to tell you Terry McGinnis. But
if you ask 90% of people on the street, who's Spider-Man?
They wouldn't say Miles Morales right away.
Peter Parker.
But now they've done a good job of introducing Miles Morales in the animated movie.
Exactly.
And we'll probably get him in a live action role at some point. Exactly. I see your point. I mean, I would love to see it, and if they go that route, I'd be happy for it. That probably also means bad things for Ben Affleck in The Flash if that were to happen.
But if you ask somebody who the hell is Green Lantern, they're going to tell you Hal Jordan. They're going to say John Stewart, even though he's currently.
It would be one of the two, but they're not going to tell you Guy
They're not
Gardner.
They're not going to tell you Guy
Kyle
Gardner.
Rayner.
They're not going to tell you. They're damn sure going to tell you Kyle Rayner, which is Never mind. All right,
They're gonna tell you the squirrel, whoever that is.
Chip. All right,
Chip. They're gonna say
together.
Chip.
Chip is legit, brother. Okay?
I'm a little off of my own Green
Chip
Lantern lore myself.
Fucking legit.
But you know, I mean,
I talk about Chip like that. You better put some respect on Chip's name.
But yeah, I mean, clearly, I mean, I think Danny DeVito could still pull off this look.
I think he
no
could.
doubt about it.
God, he
I
was
mean,
so
just
terrifying too. That's another thing.
Yeah,
he was
scary.
terrifying.
And there are scenes in the original 2 Batman Tim Burton movies that are not for children.
No,
I mean, I remember going to see him as a kid, but I was only like 10 at the time.
That whole thing with Catwoman getting pushed out a fucking window.
Yeah, and getting eaten basically alive by those cats on the ground. That was disturbing. You know, I mean, blood's coming out of Penguin's mouth at the end as he's choking on his own blood. I mean, it's some dark stuff.
And then he just falls face down. Oh.
Yeah, and the Penguins drag him to his watery grave.
Not even think about it. Think about it this way too. The shit when those people were getting turned by that Joker toxin, like how their faces contorted.
Yeah, they're just completely stayed into the big smiley face. You know,
him falling into the acid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you watch that happen.
Yeah. I mean, they did a great job with those Tim Burton movies. Unfortunately, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin kind of fell a little off the cliff. Which, don't get me wrong, I still find enjoyment out of them because they're campy. Yeah, that too. But I fully admit they're not the greatest Batman movies ever, even though I do take some enjoyment out of them.
I like Mr. Freeze's story. I thought it was very endearing.
It's time to kick some ice. Sorry.
Oh God. They could have chose anybody in the world. Anybody in the world. And
they had to get the Governator.
Bane was a joke in that too. He looked so
Yeah.
He was all green. He's all hulky and green.
Well, the real question here is, though, guys, what do you guys think about Danny DeVito possibly maybe being up for the fact of returning to play Penguin at some point in the DC Extended Universe? Comment below, let us know what you guys think. But in regards to DC as well, we also got a little bit more movie news when it comes to, of course, Batgirl. Batgirl has been officially, have begun shooting as of this week as well, starring Leslie Grace as the title character, J.K. Simmons returning as Commissioner Gordon from the Justice League film, and Brendan Fraser as the villain in this movie. This is going to be an HBOMax exclusive.
Who is he playing?
Oh, crud. We talked about this on the channel, but I can't remember he was an arsonist. I can't remember. Firefly. So he will be the villain of the film. But again, could this be, since this is supposedly, I think, set in the DCEU, from what I understand, with J.K. Simmons is coming back to play Commissioner Gordon as he was in Justice League. Could this be Michael Keaton training Batgirl in a pseudo Batman Beyond? I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but you're pulling Batgirl kind of out of nowhere here. Maybe she just kind of, wants to save people like her father, Commissioner Gordon.
Is she gonna get the same Batgirl treatment that the original Batgirl got?
Now, maybe this isn't a Batman Beyond, but could we see an appearance by Michael Keaton in this to kind of lay that groundwork for the Bat family? Things. I mean, there are things you could do.
It didn't work out for the original Batgirl. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, that's true too. She became Oracle at one point with getting shot by Joker and all this stuff.
He took pictures.
Yeah, well, I would think that would be 2 or 3 movies down the line if that's the case, and then you get Birds of Prey.
It was fairly,
which they kind of did a Birds of Prey thingish, but they changed the title. It's a Harley Quinn movie. That's what But there are things you could do in regards to.
Can we see the Court of Owls?
Maybe. I mean, never say never with that.
That'd be dope.
There's a lot of possibilities for this movie. I'm just interested because this is supposedly the first HBO Max exclusive DC movie that they got underway here, which could be interesting because they've talked about doing 4 DC theatrical films a year and 2 to 3, 4 films on HBO Max a year. I don't know if they're going to have that right from the jump because they got to get things rolling, but this is a good start.
Let me ask you a question. I don't mean to get off. Off topic here, but did you watch any of the Gotham series?
A little first season or so. I need to get caught up on a lot of my DC shows.
Was the Court of Owls in there at all?
Not that I saw, but I'm not saying it didn't happen later on. But again, Gotham is kind of set aside too. It's its own multiverse.
All right, never mind.
So this is set in the Justice League world supposedly, but the Flash is going to reboot a lot of that and all that sort of nonsense too. Yeah. So I'm still waiting to see how DC shakes out. Much like we're going to talk about Spider-Man here in a minute, watching the Flash is going to give us a pretty good indication, I think, where the DCEU is going forward. Much like the Spider-Man character, which we'll get into in just a second. But before we get into Marvel, let's do a couple quick hits here. But comment below, let us know what you guys think about Batgirl starting up as well. But before we get into Marvel, let's talk about a couple little movie news items I wanted to kind of hit first here. First of all, Netflix is apparently developing a Power Rangers cinematic universe.
I'm down.
With multiple series and movies in development. Now, a lot of people were upset because they wanted to see a sequel to, I believe I can't remember what year it was, a couple years ago.
I like that movie.
Really? See, I liked it, but here was my problem with it. It was a 2-hour movie. It took an hour and a half to get them in the freaking Power Ranger suits.
I mean, yeah.
A lot of that was due to budgetary reasons. You know, they cost money. They were mostly CGI, and I get all that. But once they got to the suits, I enjoyed it. And even before the build-up and the character development, it's fine.
I liked it.
But, yeah, a lot of people wanted to see – I especially wanted to see the Green Ranger tease that they gave.
Brother.
Because he was one of my favorites as a kid.
You would.
But I liked him, and it turned it into White Ranger. Now, after they kind of had their movie and it got, you know, the next generation, I kind of stopped. But the first generation was.
Here's the thing, okay? The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the White Ranger who eventually showed up. I watched the Japanese version of this stuff because, you know, I'm a huge nerd like that.
Yeah, you got one up on me there.
That White Ranger was a part of a totally different Ranger series. Like,
okay,
totally different. And they were all pretty cool. But he was part of a totally different Ranger series. And it made no native sense for them to bring that certain Ranger here. The Green Ranger itself was actually part of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Don't feel bad. I don't remember much about it at all. I just remember loving the Green Ranger. I remember the story.
Watching it, like, it was dope. But when you watch, like, the original version of it, way fucking cooler.
Right.
Yeah, like, way fucking, like, hands down way cooler. There's a villain in, this is one of the TV series now, one of the TV ones. He's like this Black Lion. Originally, he was a Power Ranger, and it was just him and the White Ranger. There was only 2 Rangers at the time, and they're the 2 most powerful Rangers. And then the other colors come like shortly after. But he was never meant to be a bad guy, and they made him a bad guy for the American version.
Oh wow!
And I fucking hated it.
Well, they turned him good eventually, anywho. But
I fucking hated it.
and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the what was it, the Ooze movie they did.
You would.
It was cheesy, of course it was, but I kind of liked it. Then they changed from the dinosaurs to the other animals, which I thought was kind of cool. But that's
where the White Ranger originally came from.
Right. Okay. Well, see, I didn't know that. If I did, I forgot. Yeah. But the thing with me is too, the movie. While I don't think it was as successful as they wanted it to be. First of all,
budget wise, like there was a lot of people, especially like me, you know, a lot of people who grew up, you know, watching Power Rangers or whatever. This was I loved it. To see them on the big screen like that in a movie where it's like the suits were cool, everything was cool. And it didn't have like that cheesy thing that the TV show has. You know what I mean? Like
that's the cornballish.
Of course, it had a darker tone to it.
Which I think they should continue on the Netflix. I just feel like since it didn't wasn't successful with the movie on the big screen aspect of it. Same with G.I. Joe a little bit. I know a lot of these properties are kind of similar or even owned by the same company. At one point, they were going to develop
Bandai Namco,
G.I. Joe. I want to say Paramount might own most of these now. I can't remember. But anyway, I think it just fits Netflix, their particular style, their series. If you want to do movies for them too, like they said, maybe make a cinematic universe. G.I. Joe would be another one I would think would maybe thrive on Netflix, kind of like Power Rangers could. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I think it's got a better chance to live on Netflix than it does on the big screen, and hopefully that will have some success. If that's the case,
is like killing it with these Netflix original stuff, and there's a lot of them that actually.
South Park's got that running joke. Hello, this Netflix, you're greenlit. They will greenlit just about anything. But
listen, they are.
Sometimes it's good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That the show. Never mind. I don't.
They've been much better with their quality than in recent past. Sometimes they would throw so much at the wall. Some of it sucked, but lately a lot of stuff has been pretty decent. So
like
competition breeds success.
They did 2 animes that I enjoyed and I watched. Well, 3 of them now. One's a really old one called Rurouni Kenshin. They did a live action version of it. Fucking dope. But the first one they did was Full Metal Alchemist. If you watch anybody,
I've heard of
talk to anybody who watches anime, and you ask them one of their favorite animes, I
promise you. Let me call my old roommate.
I promise you, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is going to be on that list. All right.
Yeah, you told me I wouldn't understand it.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You wouldn't get it at all.
Thanks,
but they did the live action version of it, and it was dope to see this. One that missed the mark for me personally was Death Note. Death Note is a great anime though, but seeing it live action, yeah, it was creepy, but like it's like, ugh. And then Bleach is another one of my favorite ones. I wish they would have finished it because it leaves on this weird ass cliffhanger, and that's it.
I hate it when series do that.
And then, like I said, Rurouni Kenshin, which they did 2 parts for that, and I was happy about that because then you still get that it leaves on the first part leaves on a cliffhanger, and then the second part comes. Cool.
I think all series, especially TV shows who do cliffhangers, they should know for a fact they're being renewed for another season, or don't do a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
I know you try to set up. Sometimes you don't know, but maybe you need to. Maybe I think Hollywood needs to change that to where if you don't know, just don't, or at least let them know ahead of time. Hey, you're getting another season. Do what you need to do, but if not, end it. But don't tease us.
But like you can see the change, going from when they first started doing them and it was just doo-doo butter, to where some of them now are really good. Like me and Jackson have watched a couple different animes, like Baki being one of them. We watched all the first seasons of Baki, first episodes of Baki, and then there's another one. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't pronounce the damn name of it, honestly. But we watched it all. Now we've on this one. It was one called Fairy Tail. The guy who made Fairy Tail, he has another one now called Eden Zero. And we have watched all of the first season of Eden Zero. Me and him together watched all the first season of Eden Zero. The second season just came out, so I have to finish watching that with him. But it's a Netflix original. Now, Fairy Tail is not a Netflix original, but it's what got him into it.
Right.
And now it being the same dude that did Fairy Tail now has done this exclusive deal with Netflix to do Eden Zero. I'm all for it.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully they can bring all that to Power Rangers too, because I mean they've obviously got a knack for good series and good movies.
They can.
Like
I said, they've been doing good. Sweet Tooth is another good one.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen that one, the Robert Downey Jr. one.
Good.
Well, he's not in it, but he produced it or whatever. So
I need
to check it. And it's DC apparently. I didn't know that it was DC.
Good.
So I'll have to check that out. His son's dying laughing over there.
No, he almost ran. He's on his hoverboard and he hit the couch and almost.
Well, hopefully everybody's okay. Well, that
being said, I didn't know. Like I don't know where I was going, but I was going.
Yeah, we're going. All right, then. Well, hopefully he survived. Moving on to our next topic, though, I wanted to discuss a little bit about this. We can move on kind of quickly from it, though. Jurassic World Dominion released a prologue for the film. It was a 5-minute clip showing, but they also released this poster. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts on the upcoming movie at all.
Listen, man, look.
I think I know where you're going with this.
I love dinosaurs as much as the next person.
Is that what you're thinking?
Hang it up.
You think so? Okay.
Yes, dude. There's only so much we can do.
Have you seen the last?
I have not watched Kingdom. I have not watched Kingdom.
Okay. Well, this is going to kind of spoil a smidge of that because I want to say something. Obviously, looking at the poster, you could probably figure this out.
Yes.
The dinosaurs are on the mainland, so
we did that in 3.
No, well, we did it for a minute with a T-Rex at the end of 2. Then they put him back on the island. But no, we're talking every species. So obviously by this poster, you can see the T-Rex at the drive-in movie theater here. The clip that they released, I don't want to show it here on the channel because I don't want to get copyrighted because it is a long clip, but it basically shows
afterwards.
Yeah, it's a good clip. It's basically, they show the dinosaurs 65 million years ago in their natural habitat without anything else. They kind of show you how the mosquito and all this stuff got the blood. And then they jump 65 million years, and now the dinosaurs are in the general population. Now the world has to learn to adapt and live with the dinosaurs, much like we do any other animal species. So it's going to be an interesting dichotomy because even in the very first Jurassic Park, then people like my brother-in-law and sister feel like we have the ability to hunt down any major species with our weapons. No, but as Ian Malcolm said in the first Jurassic Park, life finds a way. So,
no, listen,
and yeah, okay.
First of all, what? Okay.
All the power in the world couldn't keep the dinosaurs on the park in the first film. So for us as humans to think that we have the capability, that's the whole point of this film, to kind of discover that. Or explore that, I should say.
If dinosaurs were still around today, even with all our leaps and bounds in technology and weaponry that we currently have, you have something the size of a fucking 3-story house.
Okay, yeah.
Walking down the street.
That's my concern with this movie.
I do not care if you have an elephant gun. It ain't gonna be enough to put that fucking thing down. Anything short of a
we have like nukes and things like that.
So you kill out everybody.
Yeah, I hear you. So, but and the beauty of this movie to me, whether you agree they maybe kind of got a little far here.
This is like the space thing.
With Fast and Furious, maybe. But I do like the that we're not just going back to the island anymore. Thank God. So they've changed
the
that
island's
up to keep it fresh,
us.
basically. But it's the question of, because we set this in motion, should we have to live with those consequences, because they're bringing back Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, who was in the last two, obviously, and now we're getting the original 3 back. Sam Neill's coming back as Dr. Alan Grant. Ellie Sattler, I can't remember the name of the actress off the top of my head. And then, of course, Jeff Goldblum is coming back as Dr. Ian Malcolm. So we're getting the original 3 plus the new stars as well. So I think this movie is going to be a box office hit. And they've already said...
But the thing is, like I said, when's enough, dude?
Well, yeah, I get it. It's still making box office money.
It will.
If that's the case, it will.
And I'm not gonna let you.
And they've already said this is not the last one. So they've already, even though originally it was supposed to be the end of a 6-movie arc, they've now said it's going. We've got an animated series on Netflix now, which is actually pretty decent.
It's actually pretty decent. Yeah,
it's actually not bad. They've done a great job of keeping it scary as well as for kids. So and yeah,
dinosaurs.
I know, and dinosaurs are always going to be popular, so it's a known IP, and Universal don't have a ton of them outside of Fast and Furious, because there was rumors that Fast and Furious would cross over with Jurassic Park, and if that happens, I'm out. But
even in this little screen grab, right? That kid in there is not even a snack. For this T-Rex, all right?
No,
a full-grown man got bitten in half.
Right.
While he was on the pooper.
Right. Well, and as cheesy as that kind of was, but it was still scary too, the way they shot it.
Because it's what would happen.
Right. Well, that's my concern, because my biggest problem with the end of The Lost World, the second one, where the T-Rex got to Los Angeles, was there was a scene in particular where it is there, Ian Malcolm in the cars at this gas station, and you see the 76 ball roll down the street. To me, that was cheesy and corny, bringing the interaction between the dinosaurs and today's world. If you do that interaction with today's world, do it in a way it's not cornball, it's not cheesy. Make it scary to where it makes sense to put it on film. Don't just.
So you're going to have a bunch of people running, but then the other majority of people standing there with their phones out, and those are
probably. I mean, they kind of played with that dichotomy in Jurassic World about how people were more obsessed with their phones and dinosaurs don't shock them anymore. Which again is a reflection on society as a whole, which is what I thought they were going for.
And then we blame the dinosaur because he did what dinosaurs should do. And eat people.
It's kind of like when we watch your Reddit videos on break where the alligator bites people. Well, it's because that's what alligators do.
You stuck your hand in the water with food.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm interested in seeing the slant they take on the story, because I know you've not seen the last one, but I thought Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, definitely they're doing a good job, in my opinion, of keeping the series fresh to where it's not just let's go back to the island, and because you'd be stupid to go back because you're going to get eaten. So they did a good job of kind of flipping that narrative. So if they continue to do that, I think the series has got legs still. But I'd be interested to see what you think after maybe we watch the 5-minute clip, and then maybe you see Fallen Kingdom, and maybe see what you think on it then. But the real question here is, guys, what do you guys think about Jurassic World Dominion? Do you kind of feel like, Brendan, that maybe they've kind of jumped the shark and it's time to finally put it to bed? Or do you think maybe we have a little bit more legs with this franchise, and we'll have to see where they take it? Comment below and let us know what you guys think. All right, so before we get into the wrestling portion, the final portion of the show, let's get into a little bit of Marvel news. We'll kind of speed this up just a little bit here because I know we're kind of running a little long here. But I wanted to discuss, and I don't think Brandon has probably seen all of, if any, of Hawkeye at all.
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, no. I won't spoil it. Come back. I won't spoil it, but I just want to give my non-spoiler thoughts on it right quick. Have you seen any of it or none at all?
None of it. Because I have to watch Black Widow. Chris told me.
Yeah, you probably
yesterday.
Now
he goes, "You gotta watch Black Widow."
To this point, though, in the 3 episodes in, they've not referenced Black Widow at all. Well, they said her name once, but it has nothing to do with the movie. So if you watch the first 3 episodes, you're fine. You're not going to ruin anything. But I just wanted to say the first 2 episodes to me, they did a really good job of introducing us to Kate Bishop. I thought the show, the first 2 episodes, some people felt was a little slow. I didn't necessarily think that. I thought it was just fine. But the 3rd episode, which they just released this week, if you think the first 2 episodes are slow, the 3rd one ramps it up to 100 here. And I thought they did a great job of getting this story on the ball here. Especially they introduced the Echo character, which is not a spoiler. We knew she was going to be in this series, and she's got her own series coming out too. Based on what I know of the character from the comics, they stick pretty close to the origin story. Not probably exact, but it's pretty close. And, of course, the character being deaf and all this sort of stuff. And, of course, she has ties to other characters. And, of course, the thing that I don't want to ruin for Brandon or anybody else who's not seen it yet as well, but there is a tease in episode 3 to a character. To me, it is obvious who this character is. And if anybody else who has seen the show probably know what I'm talking about as well. But I don't want to ruin it for the viewers who haven't seen episode 3.
Fine, I'm going to watch up to episode 3, and then I'm going to tell you you're wrong.
Well, I think even you're going to believe me too. This character, when that person is introduced, and from what I've been hearing, at the end of episode 4 next week, there's probably going to be a post-credits scene where this character will be fully revealed. And if that's the case, this is a Marvel heavy hitter. I'll say that, and I'll leave it there, but this character will change some of the series moving forward, and it's going to be a big deal, in my opinion, and especially when it comes to other characters being introduced in the coming series, including Echo, She-Hulk, possibly Spider-Man No Way Home. So this could be a big deal for the MCU. So I just wanted to lay that out there for people who maybe have not been watching the Hawkeye series just yet. The first 2 episodes do a great job with the dynamic between Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. Definitely getting us to know about her and her abilities as well. Especially, they did a great job of laying that out. And now we've started to expand the story and where this particular series is going to be going in regards to a certain criminal organization, which again, I don't want to ruin too much about that there.
Now I'm super curious.
Yeah, you're going to love this if it ends up being true. It's definitely going to be a lot of fan service.
It's a character I know.
Absolutely. And if you want me to ruin it, I will at the end of this when we talk later, but we won't do it on this stream. But I definitely highly recommend you check out Hawkeye. We were only 3 episodes in, but we're already halfway through it. 3 more weeks, and the series will be, or this season anyway, will be over. I don't know if we're going to get another season or not. Maybe not. Some of the MCU series are not getting multiple seasons, which is fine, because I got a feeling that a lot of the stuff in this series is going to take place in other movies or series movie down the line. Like you said, the Black Widow stuff is probably going to come into it before the end of the series or the season. So definitely catch that up before you go beyond episode 3, I'd say at this point. But yeah, believe me, if you think about it really hard, like I said, I don't want to ruin it, but the characters they've introduced, and I've already mentioned here, you can probably figure it out, but I don't want to go into it too much to take the risk of that. But anyway, check it out if you haven't checked it out already, and let me know what you guys think about Hawkeye so far. Don't worry, Brandon's not going to read the comments below, most likely, so if you want to talk about spoilers down there, feel free, but just bear in mind.
Drive me crazy now.
Yeah, but go check out episode 3 especially. You're going to be like, ooh, and you may not even fully guess it, but if you know the history in the comics of these characters that are interacting, I think you're going to figure it out. So if you do, you're going to get excited about what else it could mean. So yeah, that's all I can say. All right, with that being said, let's move into another little quick Marvel news here. And as of course, we've now got a little bit of casting news for Secret Invasion, which is a Marvel Studios Disney Plus show that'll be coming out, I believe, at the end of 2022, early 2023, with Nick Fury coming back. The Skrulls are going to be involved. It's going to obviously be a big event that many people thought would be a movie, but apparently it's going to be on Disney Plus, where the Skrulls basically invade Earth, and you can't tell who's good and who's bad, who's a Skrull, who's a real version of the character. And it's going to be an interesting to see the way they do it here. But we now have confirmation that Cobie Smoulders, Maria Hill from the Avengers, will be returning alongside her Shield cohort Nick Fury, and she will be in Secret Invasion as well. Thoughts on that? I mean, she's not really had a major role in the MCU.
Use for Secret Invasion,
like as in characters, or what do you mean? Like, well, that's the thing. It could be anybody because the Skrulls can imitate anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, they could imitate Iron Man. They can imitate.
That's the only way he's coming back.
Maybe. I still hold to the multiverse theory that maybe eventually Tony Stark.
I'm not about to do this with you again.
I know, but but no, absolutely, maybe a Skrull appearance. I mean, there are ways. I mean, you could see a Cap as a Skrull. Of course, that's going to be a tell to whoever's trying to figure out if it's a Skrull or not. Well, Cap old, that can't be really Cap. He's a Skrull.
Tony's dead, so there's that.
But I got a feeling still that the Secret Invasion series is going to tie heavily into Miss Marvel, which will lead into the Marvels in the summer of 2022, and then we're going maybe early 2023. But either way, these series are going to tie together with Captain Marvel because the Skrulls and McFury and all that. That connection is going to tie together with those three. I think it's going to be a pseudo trilogy, kind of like WandaVision, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Doctor Strange 2 is. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes, but it's good to see a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent of Maria Hill coming back once again for the MCU. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Secret Invasion is going to be a good show? Are you excited about Maria Hill coming back? You hope they maybe expand her role a little bit, do a little bit more with her character? Comment below. Let's know what you guys think. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. All right, our last bit of movie news before we get into our pro wrestling stuff, and that is, of course, the big item that came out over the last 2 weeks here, right after Thanksgiving, actually. Spider Monday was this last Monday, where tickets went on sale for Spider-Man No Way Home. I have my ticket, Brandon. Hopefully you'll get yours at some point soon. We can maybe go see that together. We'll have to wait and see. But tickets are apparently going like hotcakes. There were people online selling these tickets for upwards of $10,000.
Wow.
I kid you not. Now, I don't know if people were actually buying them, but they were listed.
That's just too much.
But there were people who were buying it for at least 4 figures. So that was a thing because they were selling like. Now, there are other theaters in smaller towns like ours that don't sell out quite as much, but LA, New York, going like hotcakes. Well, with the announcement of the tickets going on sale, former Sony producer Amy Pascal came out and was talking a little bit this week, and she basically says 3 more Spider-Man movies are coming. She made it sound like they were in the MCU, but let's read what she had to say here. She was doing an interview with Fandango, and she said, quote, "This is not the last movie that we are going to make with Marvel. This is not the last Spider-Man movie. We are getting ready to make the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and Marvel. It just isn't part of." Then she paused. Then she said, "We're thinking of this as 3 films, and now we're going to go on to the next 3. This is not the last of our MCU movies." Now, she says this, and of course, if anybody would know about what their plans are for Spider-Man, you would think a former head of or still involved with the creative process over at Sony, this woman would. She's obviously talked about how, her and Kevin Feige have been working together with the MCU projects with Spider-Man and things like that. But that place in the quote where she paused, where she says, "It's just not going to be a part of," and then she stopped herself and said, "Well, we're going to do 3 more movies." I don't know if she meant it wasn't going to be a part of the MCU or if it was not going to be a part of the current trilogy. I don't know what she meant, but she stopped herself. But I think in this regard, of course, after she said this, some representatives from Sony also come out and said, "Yeah, she don't know what she's talking about. We don't know what she means." So either they're doing damage control because she opened her mouth, or maybe she's trying to say something to maybe kind of entice the MCU. Hey, we want to still work with you. Come re-sign a deal because, even Tom Holland's talking like, "Well, I don't know if I want to continue, playing this game of cat and mouse." Like, hey, maybe we're going to re-up with the MCU. Maybe we won't. But I think that what we all really need to do right now is wait and see what happens in No Way Home. I think at the end of that film, we're going to have a much better idea about where the Spider-Man character is moving forward, whether it's going to be solely in the Spider-Man world on Sony with Venom and Morbius and Kraven the Hunter coming up, or if he's still going to be involved with the MCU with the Avengers and Doctor Strange and all this other stuff. Now, Kevin Feige did say on record in the past that Spider-Man is a unique character in the fact that he is the only character who has the ability to jump between universes. If that's the case, maybe they just share him. He comes back when the Avengers need him, things like that. So we'll have to see what they do. But it got a lot of fans excited this week that maybe we're going to get 3 more Spider-Man movies, possibly in the college setting, which we've talked about here even last week on the channel, where we discussed all of that. So I'm definitely hoping they continue to tell this story with Tom Holland. Hopefully he'll re-up, because I want to see Spider-Man grow with this actor. I think this actor could play him for many years to come, and eventually when he is done, lead into the live-action Miles Morales. He could take him under his wing, kind of like Tony Stark did him. I think that's what they should do if they can get all the ducks in a row here. What do you think? Do you think that 3 more Spider-Man movies will be good? Are you looking forward to that? Do you think this is a real story, or she's blowing smoke? What do you think?
I think they're going to play it close to the best. I don't think they're going to say it right away.
No, I wouldn't think so. And I think that's why Sony came out and kind of like, whoa, lady, calm down. Because she's kind of got this reputation of in interviews where she'll kind of be like, yeah, we're in the MCU, we're doing this, we're doing that. But Kevin Feige's like, shut up, woman. Trying to slap her on the head, like, knock it off. We can put my snipers out on you if you keep talking.
Yeah.
But
first rule about Marvel, we'll talk about Marvel.
Basically, he just asked Mark Ruffalo. I'm surprised he still works with him after he ruined Everybody Died in Infinity War.
Man, but he wasn't the only one.
Tom Holland did too. Yeah, he was like, yo, man, this is great. Just running stuff. Of course, he's learned his lesson, I think. He's talking about how, like, man, I want to tell you everything that happens in this movie, but I can't.
Didn't he talk about his scene in Civil War?
He probably did.
Anybody knew he was going to be in Civil War?
I don't doubt that a bit, And now that we've also got the announcement that we're getting a Spider-Man animated series discussing his time before he was in Civil War coming to Disney Plus as well, it just makes sense to me that this is the Spider-Man, if you could keep it, to continue in the long term.
So I had this conversation with Jose today.
Friend of ours at work. Yeah. Shout out to Jose.
He was talking about Andrew Garfield and
Tobey Maguire. All rumored to be in No Way Home, but it's not a spoiler. It's just rumored.
But he was talking about how he was telling me how and why he likes their version of Spider-Man better.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that argument. Yeah,
and it's because they've experienced loss. You know what I'm saying?
And I wouldn't say Tom Holland hasn't, because the Tony Stark thing and Uncle Ben too.
Hold on, hear me out here. So
right,
that with Tobey Maguire, it was Uncle Ben,
right?
And then with
Andrew,
it was Uncle Ben and
Gwen.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I go,
yeah, rough.
yeah. And I go, we just haven't seen it. I goes, you don't see the fact that Spider-Man was being Spider-Man when he showed up in Civil War. Mm-hmm. Okay. You don't get what we didn't get initially for me out of Toby and Andrew versions of Spider-Man was they were already done with high school.
Right.
I know
they spent a little time in there in their first movie, but then they quickly moved on. Yeah.
Yes. With Tom's version, we get this. For instance, for 15. Well, no, he's not 15. He's
I
think
he's
15.
supposed to be. I want to say by the end of this movie, I'd say the high school years are done.
Yeah,
the new one. But yeah, we've had high school for 2 movies now. Yeah,
you get to see him make these mistakes as a kid.
I want to see him mature into the Spider-Man we know, and I think by the end of this movie he will be.
But he was like, but he also got help, and I go, in a sense, sure.
He needed the help though. He's a kid.
Because he was already doing this without the help. We just didn't see it.
But just little things too. It wasn't like fighting supervillains,
No.
Yeah, I mean.
So this is going to be that chance. We've already seen it, in the last couple movies we saw him taking on these big guys solo dolo here. But he still hasn't experienced that. I go, we might in this.
I think
there's a scene,
a big loss in this.
There's a scene in this where it looks like something bad's gonna happen, and I'm like, yeah.
I personally think Aunt May bites the dust, or Happy does. One of them bites the dust.
So I thought
could be Mary or MJ, but
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, especially if they do more. But never say never.
It could be Aunt May.
I also heard that,
but I also think it could be Happy. Yeah. The reason why I think it could be Happy. Because originally I thought yes, but I also thought that Happy would make more sense in the sense because Happy filled the same space that Tony filled.
Right,
filled was that the foggy.
He played Foggy in Daredevil with Ben Affleck, but anyway.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Hey,
but he played that father figure part. You know what I mean? He filled that role. And if you look at the dynamic that Happy now has with Spider-Man Peter, because of this, losing Tony brought them to way closer. Watching Happy go from where he was and with Tony to where he is now.
Oh yeah.
Crazy, because you see him go along this journey.
He's had this progression too.
Yes.
Yeah.
As Tony did. You know what I mean? So now dealing with Peter, he fills that role, and I'm thinking like this guy, he's gonna have that loss. You're going to see that. The reason why you don't see the struggle in the sense of like where he has all the cool armor, because he's trying to live up to what Tony thinks he is or believes he is.
Right.
So I was like, what you don't understand is like the amount of pressure that's on him mentally. You're not going to see it because it's not a physical manifestation, but it's mentally.
It's all in the acting that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like with the glasses. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about that's what me and Jose were talking about. And I go, I'm not saying, and neither was he was saying that Tom Holland is a bad Spider-Man. That's not what he was saying. He was talking about character-wise.
It's just a different version of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Character-wise, watching them go through that whole, them losing someone and then internalizing that to be the better Spider-Man.
That's a Spider-Man trope. They laid that out perfectly in Into the Spider-Verse, the animated movie. How every Spider-Man in every universe has some sort of loss. Mm-hmm. And in this version's case, it was Tony Stark. Well, Ben too, but they didn't. We've already get that origin. But the writer even come out. One of the writers even come out this week and said the reason why we didn't show Uncle Ben is because we had seen it twice before. Yeah. So they specifically chose not to do that with this one.
And I'm glad they didn't.
I do feel like the animated series we're going to get may touch on it a little bit just to kind of give us that.
But there's no reason we've seen
not in the
movie.
Movies. Yeah, we don't need to necessarily.
It's the same reason why I said with the whole Batman thing.
Just to kind of give it its full effect, I think they may go back and show it real quick and to kind of show you, hey, this version of the Spider-Man also had the Uncle Ben moment as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, mostly it's Tony Stark, and I feel like he could lose yet again because I've heard rumors that by the end of No Way Home, he's in a very dark space.
The Stark thing was different because this was a sacrifice on a grand schedule or a grand scale. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This wasn't personal.
But it was still his father figure that was.
But it wasn't personal just to him. You
Not as much. Yeah, I hear you.
This was personal on a scale
to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy would make more sense, or Aunt May would make more sense in this aspect.
And especially with Happy, there's no more, as far as we know, Iron Man movies with Robert Downey Jr. It would make sense that Happy is not necessarily needed.
But also, I thought,
MCU.
but it isn't. Aren't they doing a
Iron Heart? They are
Iron Heart,
but that could be more of a Rhodey thing, possibly, because she may show up in Armor Wars. We don't know what their Iron Heart character plays are, but
man.
right. I mean, who's to say they won't use him again? But I just know with Jon Favreau taking on the role of the Mandalorian creator and writer, and with all this stuff they're doing over there. Plus, there's also talk this week that we really didn't talk about that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, the creators and writers of Mandalorian and Rebels and Clone Wars, they may be taking on a larger role when it comes to the films as well. And if that's the case, Favreau's going to be a busy fella. So
it makes sense. It makes
sense if they do, but.
Right.
It'll be sad.
This affects him and Aunt May because aren't they together?
They were dating a little bit in the last one or whatever, or the first one, and then like she's like, oh, we're not really dating, we're just having a fling, and so they kind of just it was for one movie and they moved on. But never say never. You can always rekindle that or whatnot. But I just don't know if it's going to be MJ.
I don't think it will be. I don't think it will be.
I mean, they tease the scene like they all do, where she was falling down. But I think someone.
I think it's a swerve.
There was actually a rumor going around that Andrew Garfield's version of the character would swing in to save her because he.
I think that's what it. I think that's what it.
That would be cool if they were to do that, but that's again all rumor at this point. It's the worst kept secret in Hollywood, though.
It's what.
It's his moment to do what he couldn't do with the moment he loved. But at the same time, if they're smart, I know Kevin Feige has already said that he wants to work with Kirsten Dunst, who played Mary Jane. He wants to work with Emma Stone, who played Gwen Stacy. If they're smart, which there's rumors going around that Sony may want to continue the Tobey Maguire movies. They may want to continue the Andrew Garfield films. outside of the MCU and the main Tom Holland storyline, the multiverse of it all. Maybe they could. I think that they would be blowing a huge opportunity not to bring back Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy from a multiverse and do Spider-Gwen in live action because she's got the star power. She's liked by a lot of folks. I think it would be perfect.
But this is also your opportunity to not
expand new characters. Yeah, I mean, you could bring in Miles. There's been talk of a Black Cat series, Silver Sable, and stuff like that.
What I'm saying is, you could still do a Spider-Gwen. It's not her.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of Spider-Woman was another one that was on the docket as well. There's a lot of rumors going around about what Sony has planned. They've got a lot of characters that they could actually do with stuff with. They've got, I think, up to 800 or 900 Marvel characters at their disposal. It's not like they just have Spider-Man and that's it. They've got a lot of stuff they can work with if they can expand. It's all in the Spider-Man universe, but there are things you could do besides just Spider-Man movies, but hopefully we'll get more Tom Holland movies and maybe even more Spider-Man films and Venom.
They should do the Spider-Man version of the Avengers too.
Yeah, well, I think this is it. I think No Way Home is Spider-Man Endgame. I honestly do.
I mean, like the actual fucking part of the Avengers.
Well, yeah, I think Spider-Man will be
Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Nova, White Tiger.
Oh, you're talking about like where he leads the team type thing? Okay. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, not only that, if there's rumors going around that they may be doing a young Avengers stuff, a lot of the characters they're introducing are young, and Spider-Man could possibly be the leader of that group if they can get their ducks in a row with Sony, that's for sure. So never say never. But the real question here is, guys, what do you guys think about the fact that Amy Pascal seemed to be talking like there's going to be 3 more Spider-Man films coming your way here soon, whether it's in the MCU, Sony, we don't know. We don't even know if it's true. She maybe just yapping her jaws. We'll have to wait and see. But let us know what you guys think. I hope it happens. We'll see what happens. We'll just have to wait and see. All right. With that being said, let's get into our final topic-ish of the show. That is our pro wrestling segment of the show. And as always, every single week, we've got our Mike's Wrestling Fun Facts and Trivia segment here on the channel, where our good friend Mike sends in his wrestling trivia for the week, where he discusses fun facts and goes over a trivia question for us every week. And last week, Brandon was, or a couple weeks ago, I should say, before Thanksgiving, Brandon wanted to maybe get a trivia question from AEW and some of their stars. So it may not be about AEW per se, but about some of their superstars. So let's see if Digger has obliged, and let's see what his trivia question is for this week. So let's go with episode number 27 right now. Here we go.
All right, Brandon. You're going to get your wish, buddy. I'm in the giving spirit of the holiday season. Hope everybody had themselves a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm going to give you some trivia about some of the stars of AEW over the next week or two.
Sweet.
And I figured the best way to start is with Le Champion, Chris Jericho. Now, Chris Jericho, as we know, began his career in the Hart family dungeon, being trained by the Hart brothers. Another person that was a member of that class, and also a famous Canadian, all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Motherfucker.
You got me. If you can tell by that long pause who that is, Lance Storm.
Good old Lance Storm, yeah.
Now, the first big break
if I can be serious for a moment,
America would come in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which was owned and operated by legendary manager Jim Cornette. There they would be known as the Thrill Seekers. However, before appearing in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, they would be called by a different name initially.
You son of a bitch.
The Thrill Seekers were not their initial tag team name. Out of these 4 names, what was the name of their tag team?
Oh my gosh.
The Canadian Express, Sudden Impact, Shoot the Thrill,
man,
and Jack Action, which is also what Eric does whenever he sees a pretty girl on television.
Brother!
So anyway, moving along, those are your 4 options. Which one was their initial tag team name? Hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Hope the guys didn't overstuff themselves too much like I did with some wonderful food. I hope we all enjoyed some great family time. And let's not forget what the real reason for the season is coming up as we prepare for the Christmas holiday. Y'all take care, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week.
I hate you so much. Right now. Like,
yo.
For real. Like, for real, bro. Like, bro.
No.
Hey.
Yo.
Mike,
that one got me.
I can rule out Jack Action. I guarantee you that wasn't their name. He made that up. There ain't no doubt about it. So anyway, what was the name of Chris Jericho? And let me be serious for a moment. Lance Storm's tag team before appearing in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Your choices were Canadian Express, Sudden Impact, Shoot the Thrill, or the aforementioned ridiculously named Jack Action. I'm gonna put that one out.
I'm gonna say I'm torn between two.
Man.
And I don't think it'd be. It's either Canadian Express or Shoot the Thrill. I'm not 100% sure on which one it is, but I'm gonna go with Shoot the Thrill.
Canadian Express feels too on the nose, especially. What did he say their other tag team name was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling? You mentioned it. I can't remember. Thrill Seekers.
Yeah,
Thrill Seekers. So that maybe Shoot the Thrill, since there's a thrill in there. I think Canadian Express is too on the nose.
Because I know Lance was part of a group called the Impact Players in ECW.
So he maybe just kind of mix and matching some of this here. Sudden Impact stands out to me, but like I said, he when he goes old school, man, he goes way back, don't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I get that's kind of his era, but it's like, man.
I'm gonna say Shoot the Thrill.
AEW's trivia, maybe it was more recent, Mike. I know that's your era, but that's my suggestion.
That's
but
a good question,
at least it stumps us. I'll say that. So you said Shoot the Thrill.
Mm-hmm.
That just to be different. I'll go Sudden Impact. Just for whatever reason, it's kind of sticking out to me. So let's see what the answer is here. All right. So he sends the email here. It says the original name for the Chris Jericho Lance Storm tag team was Sudden Impact, baby.
Fuck off.
Yeah, all right.
Sudden
They would wrestle under the name in several Canadian independent promotions and in Japan for the FMW promotion. After briefly parting ways, Jericho would tour Mexico before reuniting with Lance Storm in Smoky Mountain Wrestling as the Thrill Seekers. Fun fact, though, in 2019, in an interview with Rich Eisen from the NFL Network, interestingly enough, Jericho said his original ring name was Jack Action. Did not know that. That's crazy. Okay,
dude, did you like
is that
the
real?
Names, yeah, the names that Edge and Christian first had sound like porn star names.
Well, I believe that
in Canada. I can't remember.
Wrestling's got some weird names, bro.
Brother.
He says when someone remarked that they thought it was a stupid name and asked what his name really was, he nervously came up with Chris Jericho, taking from the album Walls of Jericho by German power metal band Halloween. Interesting. I didn't know that about the Chris Jericho name either. That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, Mike always does a great job of coming up with this stuff. I ain't gonna lie. That's why I suggested he do this for the channel when we started doing all this. I was like, dude, you're just a wealth of knowledge. Put us to the test here. And sure enough, he does it every single week here. But yeah, I'm glad I got one right. Sure, purely a guess on my part. No clue.
That's fucking funny.
Wow. But yeah,
Jack Action.
Jack Action.
No, seriously, what's your name? That reminds me. I'll tell you a story.
Jack Action, more like Jackass. Wow. Brother, you had to come at me like that, bro. You gonna come at me like that? You come at the
That
bull,
reminds me of
horse.
a time after the show, after we're done, I'll have to tell you the story of this. Yeah.
All right, dude.
The way he introduced himself to me.
Oh yeah. You want to share it with the audience or
no?
No, okay. That's for private eyes. Maybe one day. Maybe
because
we'll get his permission.
Because of his name, I'm not gonna say.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll go
on air.
All right, dude. Well, with that being said, what did you guys think about this week's Mike's Wrestling Fun Facts and Trivia, episode number 27? Comment below. Did you guys know the original tag team name for Chris Jericho and Lance Storm? That's going way back, man. I need to go watch some videos of those guys. I'm sure he'll send us in the private chat later on. But definitely let us know what you guys think and comment below and let me know if you had the right answer.
All right, Jack Action.
Jack Action. Oh my God, unbelievable. Never fails to try to embarrass me. All right. With that being said, let's move into the final portion of the show, which I know I said probably a couple times now. But AEW recap. I'm not going to go over all the stuff that happened over the last few weeks. I did want to mention though, I thought the MJF CM Punk promo from last week was absolutely incredible. Great job by those guys. WWE tried to kind of mimic it a little bit with Miz and Edge on Raw. Did not go so well in my opinion. They did a good promo, don't get me wrong, but to me it was like they were trying to compete a little bit with MJF and Punk. To me, it just felt like MJF and Punk felt more real. Kind of like when Punk went toe-to-toe with Eddie Kingston a few weeks back. Great promo work there. And I did want to mention a bit of a nitpick I had about Rampage last week. AEW did this thing that WWE does where a challenger pinned the women's world champion clean. If I'm going to call it WWE out on it, I'm going to call AEW out on it. The only reason again, I'm not making excuses for AEW. I didn't like it. I wish they didn't pin Britt Baker. Riho beat her clean in the middle of the ring and apparently earned a title opportunity by doing so, which is the equivalent of WWE's championship contender matches. But there is a difference that AEW's done it once. Now, if it continues to be a trend, it's a bigger problem. But again, it's once. But I didn't like it. I'm not excusing it for sure. But hopefully that don't become a trend. Pinning champions most times is not good. But again, you could do it occasionally, and it's not a big deal. It is pro wrestling. Someone's got to lose. And I did hear why they eventually decided to go with Riho. Apparently, they just beat Ty Conti, so they couldn't use her. And every other major women's contender in the division was either in the TBS Championship tournament, either already lost or still in the tournament. So they really didn't have a whole lot of options. Riho was the best option. And they did try to sell on commentary that Britt Baker has never beaten Riho. So by doing so, they at least tried to make it have narrative sense. But they were kind of in a bit of a bind when it comes to availability. So I see why they did it. But if you're going to mention the fact that she never beaten Riho, and even Riho, I think, even wasn't fully eliminated from the Women's Battle Royal a while back or whatnot. They played on that storyline a little bit too. So in my eyes, you didn't have to do the match at all. Britt didn't have to take the loss. You could have just set up the title match and been done with it. But that's just, my opinion on it. But like I said, I wanted to call it out just to kind of be fair here when it comes to both sides of the spectrum. But other than that, I thought all the shows over the last few weeks have been pretty good. But that leads us to Dynamite tonight. And it, of course, came to us from Atlanta. Excalibur and Tony Schiavone were on commentary without Jim Ross because Jim Ross is now taking time off for treatment of his skin cancer. So best wishes for good old JR. I know he says he plans to come back by December 29th. Hopefully he'll be able to come back by then. But I know he's going to go through, I believe, 22 rounds of treatment is what he said. That's got a lot to deal with, too. Also, not on the show tonight was Justin Roberts. Commentary didn't say what was going on with him, but he said thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. So hopefully things are okay with the Dapper Yapper as well, and hopefully he'll come back sooner rather than later. Let's pray for them. The show opened up with Bryan Danielson. He defeated Allen 5 Angels of the Dark Order. So Bryan Danielson says he's got the title opportunity against Hangman Page, which they announced during tonight's show will take place in 2 weeks. On their special Dynamite show, Winter is Coming, which is kind of their pseudo pay-per-view special every few quarters here instead of having a full-blown pay-per-view. It'll be on Dynamite, so Hangman will defend his title against Danielson on that show. Bryan Danielson has been going through members of the Dark Order, just beating them down, destroying them, all this sort of thing. Even so much as knocking a tooth out of one of the members last week, I believe it was on Rampage. It was crazy. So yeah, good match. Alan Angels and Bryan Danielson had a stellar match here, top to bottom. Angels definitely did a great job of going toe-to-toe with Danielson. But in the end here, Danielson avoided a moonsault press and immediately crushed Daniels with the Busaku knee that they're calling it now before kicking Angel's head in. It was elementary from there on, and as Danielson locked on a knee bar for the quick submission, though, even though Danielson wouldn't relinquish the knee bar and kept flexing, definitely playing up the fact that he's pretty much playing the heel role now, which I still feel like maybe after he loses, he'll probably go back to being a babyface. I don't know. But because the thing with Moxley, I think that the original plan was for him to face Hangman, but because that didn't happen because of Moxley going into rehab, they had to call an audible, and Bryan was able to play both sides of it, so here we are. So it makes some sense, but it's definitely not in their plan, I don't think, from the jump. After the match, Danielson was interviewed by Tony Schiavone in the ring, who asked if Danielson was ready. Danielson said he didn't think he was that was the best that Atlanta's got because he kicked his head in and probably snapped his MCL. Last week, he took out Colt Cabana's tooth, and next week, he'll stomp in another Dark Order member's head. In 2 weeks, he faces Adam Hangman Page for the title. Paige, who was on commentary, because throughout the night they were putting different people on commentary to kind of fill the role for JR. Paige was on commentary. He got hot at all this and was about to run down to the ring, but John Silver ran out and cut him off, saying he'd get Danielson instead. Danielson fled, saying that was beneath him. If Paige or Danielson touched each other tonight, they'd be suspended. Danielson would slap Paige right now, but the fans don't deserve to see it. So they played it off, and they didn't touch each other, so that's good. But it looks like we're going to be getting Johnny Hungy, John Silver versus Bryan Danielson, I believe, next week on Dynamite. So it's coming up here the next week. So again, just building and building and building until we get the title match. So nothing wrong with that here. Any thoughts on that?
No. No, just listen to you. I didn't see any of it.
Okay.
I was busy doing daddy stuff. But I'm interested to see where they're going with Danielson. I like Danielson as a heel.
He's did a great job with it.
I don't think he'll be one of those. He'll go back to being a babyface. I think a heel role right now for him is great. You already have a big babyface in CM Punk. You already have a big babyface in Hangman Page. You know, you need these dominant heels to kind of be there right now. And Danielson is the great for that spot. Like I said, because, I mean, you brought him and Punk in around the same time. You knew Punk was going to get the better reception. And not saying that, you know, Danielson didn't get a good reception, because he did.
Oh, yeah.
It's just...
That's disrespect. Yeah. Well, it's the thing, too, with Moxley. Whenever he comes back from rehab, he's probably not going to get booed as much as they
it's
may.
The same thing with Omega. When he comes back.
Yeah, when he comes back, he'll get cheered. He'll probably be a babyface, probably go toe-to-toe with the Elite a little bit. They've already laid that seed before he left. And even Adam Cole, there's talk that he could go babyface at some point, turn on the Elite or whatever it might be, if Paige or if Omega does come back as a heel or whatever it might be. But yeah, so I think Danielson staying a heel will be just fine. I just don't know if they will. It depends on, I think, what their plans are with Moxley when he comes back. Maybe that has something to do with it. But if he comes back as a face too, yeah, you're right. They have plenty of room for a heel on there, and I have no problem with that if that's what they choose to do. He's killing it with that role, no doubt about it. It just felt like it kind of flipped on a dime at there, but now that we're there, I think he's doing stellar work. So Bryan Danielson is absolutely incredible. After this, we had a Miro video promo. Wasn't a whole lot to it, really. He's basically, saying that, he's the Redeemer, and, he's going to get things figured out. And he kind of basically blamed his God still, but he's going to get it worked out. MJF joined commentary for the next match as CM Punk defeated Lee Moriarty. They even played a little bit, especially MJF was talking about how Punk's washed up. He can't even beat this young dude, because a lot of fan criticisms are like, why is CM Punk not squashing a lot of these guys? Like, if he's the best in the world, why is he giving time to some of these younger wrestlers? It's because they're trying to develop these younger stars and giving them some, shine a little bit on stuff for the new audiences who don't know them. But from a, storyline perspective, it makes a little sense. So MJF was playing that up like, see, he's washed up, he's old, he ain't got it anymore. So MJF did a great job of using that, I thought, in the promos that he was cutting on commentary. Punk hit a Frankensteiner. They traded repeated cradles until Punk landed a high kick, dropping Moriarty. Moriarty came back with a Pepsi twist for a near fall, but then Punk powered Punk into the GTS. But I think they meant to write Punk powered Moriarty into the GTS. But yeah, so Punk gets the win here. But again, good long match. Moriarty had a great showing. Takes the loss, but again, that's proper booking. Though he looks good in a loss regardless. After the match, MJF grabbed a mic and said he was proud of Punk. The only thing he's good at nowadays is trying to get in Britt Baker's pants. That one, I was like, what? Am I missing something here? Or is this kind of just playing on the fact that he said, Baker replaced him as a pillar last week? Hopefully nothing's going on backstage that Adam Cole's going to get pissed about. I don't know. That's something maybe we'll get clarification on. But yeah, he went.
Who said that?
MJF said it to Punk, that Punk was trying to get into Baker's pants. Interesting. Punk basically laughed it off for the most part. Punk said that MJF was wearing Larry David's pajamas, which was weird. He was wearing this, Hanukkah suit. It had the Jewish candles. I can't remember what they're called.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
Yeah, but they were all over this blue suit. It was weird. But, so he made fun of his pajamas, and he said that QT Marshall, Lee Moriarty are better than MJF, and he knows it. He shut MJF up and told him to bring his needle dick into the ring right now. MJF said that Punk needs him more than he needs Punk, giving him a spark he hasn't had since 2011. Next week, MJF's going to win the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royale in Long Island, where he will be better than Bret Hart in Canada and CM Punk in Chicago. Big words, as Punk was completely, hysterically laughing at this. He insulted Punk's dog, saying that he heard him in the back earlier today, saying if he brought him around again, he'd put the dog to sleep. So at that point, it incensed Punk. Punk stormed up the ramp to confront MJF, but that's when Wardlow walked out and stepped between him and Punk. So looks like we're getting Wardlow versus Punk, I'm assuming, and if he could get through Wardlow, he'll get to MJF, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it was just Wardlow stepping in between here, but so anytime you insult a man's dog, just ask John Wick how that went for his.
Doesn't work out well, man.
No, but MJF is not adverse to going low there. But apparently we're getting the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal for the Dynamite ring that MJF has now won 2 consecutive years. Can he win it a third? Or could CM Punk possibly cost him that ring and somebody else gets it for a change? It's more or less there to help him cheat, so I don't know what the significance is of the ring outside of that.
It'll have significance if he's the one who wins it.
A third time? You think they do it a third time? Or I don't know.
Who else
I would like to see. I don't know. And I don't know what the significance would be if it's not a heel. But maybe they try to do something a little different with it. I just don't know if MJF will win it again. Because if that's the case, you start to be like, all right, this is every year MJF's going to win it. So I don't know if they go.
But then it means when he loses it, he shouldn't lose it to CM Punk.
Well, no, but I think he loses it in the Battle Royal, and maybe Punk costs him the win. Or that's kind of WWE booking. But I just got a feeling like maybe somebody will throw him out, and he'll be a livid at Punk for whatever reason, or there's ways you could do it. But I just don't know where they're going to go with it. But apparently we're getting that next week.
It almost has to be CM Punk costing him that opportunity to further their story.
You could. I agree with you. At least it would make narrative sense if he came down. There's no rules in a Battle Royal, so he could come down there. Maybe he's even in a Battle Royal. I don't know. I don't think they didn't really mention a whole lot of the participants just yet. But never say never. It would make some narrative sense to do it that way. We'll have to see what they do. AEW World Champion Britt Baker was backstage with Rebel and Jamie Hayter. Baker complained about having to wrestle Riho, even though she lost to her. Hayter said that she had one of the best matches in the TBS tournament, but Baker pointed out that she lost. Hayter took exception to this and said, "Did you lose to Thunder Rosa as well?" So again, they're kind of laying that seeds there that Hayter's going to be turning on Britt Baker at some point. Hayter will take on Riho next week, so it's going to add to that storyline, plus the Riho versus Britt storyline. All that, and of course, at the very end of this whole segment too, whenever they say Baker DMD, once again, Hayter did not do DMD. So subtly laying in those C's that Hayter is going to be turning on Rebel and Britt in particular before too much longer. Adam Cole joined commentary for something because Adam Cole came all the way out, went to the ring, did his boom, did the Adam Cole, baby, walked around the ring, went all the way back to commentary. So he went completely down to the ring just to get the pop and to go right back up the stage to go to commentary. So I thought that was kind of funny. After he sat down finally, Orange Cassidy made his entrance and faced off with Adam Cole on the stage. The Young Bucks then tried a sneak attack behind Orange, but Orange had it scouted. He turned around after landing some stiff, kicks to the shins, Cole low-blowed him from behind because he turned his back on Adam Cole. Dumb babyface move right there, first of all. So Orange had this coming. And the Bucks landed some super kicks. They teased like they were going to do the super kicks to him, but then they did the with their super kicks. But then at the end, they nailed him with a super kick. Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta ran out with chairs to chase off the super kicks. So apparently we're getting 6-man tag is my assumption here with the best friends.
Player.
Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be good with the match. I'm sure it'll be fun. Too bad Trent can't be there. I think. I like Wheeler Yuta, but I miss Trent, man. He's had a rough go, but he's off for a long time at one point, off again, and just a bad night for the best friends all around us. We'll get into here with the ladies match later. Tony Nese cut a video promo. He will challenge Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship on Friday. That'll be a good match. Tony Nese making his AEW in-ring debut, I believe. If it was on Dark, I missed it. But so that'll be a great match. I know a lot of people have criticized, AEW. These people for the TNT Championships have not earned their opportunities, like Black Machismo. What was it? Jay Lethal did last week or the week before. But here's the thing. Agreed. He lost, and I'm sure Tony Nese is going to be losing here as well. But it's one of those things. Oh, he hasn't earned their wins. I thought AEW was about wins and losses. But here's the thing: TNT title has kind of been established for over a year now that it's an open challenge title.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like you must earn the opportunity. I prefer that still because but
it's an open challenge.
Different. Yeah, it's different. So I understand people are like, oh, everybody complains about what WWE does it, though. They don't earn their titles. Again, they do it all the time, first of all. Second of all, they're not open challenge all the time. Those stipulate. If you call it open challenge, it's a little different.
Not CM Punk. John Cena literally did.
Yeah, that was different. That the U.S. title was at the time. Yes, that was open challenge. But there are some people say this week, Rude and Ziggler got a tag title match against RK Bro. They hadn't won a match in over 4 weeks, and yet somehow they got a title match and still lost. But that's one of those things that's not an open challenge. They just decided we won a title match this week, and that made no narrative sense. This is a little different, so not making excuses, but if you tell us an open challenge format, I'm going to give it more credit. After this, we had Wardlow with Shawn Spears at ringside, defeated AC Adams. Never heard of this kid. He pretty well got squashed by 4 power bombs here for Wardlow, and he got destroyed by Spears with a chair afterwards. So, showcase for Wardlow, definitely making him look strong, and he's been killing it on Dark. So, Wardlow's definitely got a future for whenever he turns on MJF. That's going to be a great turn whenever it does happen. Proper build to it. Penta El Zero Mero and Pac were backstage. No Rey Fenix because due to an injury, Rey Fenix will not be here. Pac will replace him this Friday night against FTR. So that part sucks. I think that was supposed to be a 2 out of 3 falls match for the AEW World Championship, but I don't think the titles would be on the line then unless Pac is defending them for Rey. They didn't quite clarify that, but I think the 2 out of 3 fall step is still involved. So sucks, but injuries happen. Hope Rey Fenix heals up soon because he's definitely a talent that they don't want to miss. Taz with Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook joined commentary for the next match as Darby Allin and Sting in the Battle of the Unbeaten Tag Teams defeated the Gun Club with Billy Gunn and Colton Gunn with Austin Gunn at ringside here. Billy hit a Faymaster on Sting, but he kicked out at 2. Darby Allin took out Billy with another awesome tope, then hit the float over stunner on Colton. Sting followed up with the Scorpion Death Drop for the win. Sting come out with Darby Allin face paint, by the way. His face, instead of the Sting face, had the skull all over his face. So it was really cool. They kind of had this tag team look about him. So that was really cool to see him, a different little variation of the Sting paint. Also, Darby Allin, once again, murdering himself in this match. Topes on the outside. Looked like he went face first on one. Looked like he hit knees first, but it also looked like he smacked his head off the mats. It looked like he was legit hurt, but he got right back up. Did another one where he basically helicoptered himself off of Billy Gunn. But yeah, so Darby is nuts, as always. But good to see this. It was a fun match between the two teams, no doubt. But the Gun Club no longer undefeated as a tag team here. I think they're still undefeated as a 6-man. But yeah, so it was time for them to lose, I'm sure. They've had all these wins on Dark and Elevation, but no problem with this. Chris Jericho was interviewed backstage. He said he did not come to Eddie Kingston's aid last week because he was getting beaten up by 2.0 and Daniel Garcia on Rampage. He said he was out there to take out 2.0. Garcia and company then attacked Jericho from behind with Parker smacking Jericho with the chair against a garage door in the back. So laying out Chris Jericho. So I'm guessing we get not Moxley, but Kingston and Jericho versus these guys at some point where they're not going to probably get along. So that may lead to a Kingston-Jericho feud. So we'll see what happens there, but I'd be interested in that for sure.
He barely gets along with the guy he actually likes.
Yeah, who, Mox, you mean? Or
yeah,
that's true. I mean, it's just oil and water there a little bit, but I mean, they're kind of two peas in a pod. But
I mean, he is the Mad King.
Yeah, and I love the stuff Kingston's doing right now. He's elevated his game ever since the CM Punk feud, and hopefully that continues with some of these other guys. And I think him and Jericho could have a pretty good match, so that could be a fun little pairing. Taz talked about how 25% of the Diamond Dozen Battle Royal next week were Team Taz members. He was basically pulling his best Scott Steiner math here. He said 25% of the Royal Battle Royal is my team, so that gives us a 125% chance of winning. And everybody on commentary, Excalibur and Shivani, were like, "What? So he was definitely pulling his best Scott Steiner here.
Listen to me. Nothing is better than the original.
No, nobody's going to come close.
Petey Williams in the background doing this shit. And then when Scott's talking, you see him visibly go,
"Wait, what?" which you know it's Scott Steiner.
But then he goes,
"Yeah." I mean, Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you got to believe that Scott Steiner absolutely believed everything he was saying at the time too.
100%.
It was like when Sid once said that, I'm half the man that you guys are, and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash are just laughing their ass off because they knew exactly what he was saying. It's like, no, bro, you screwed that up on live television. Not like Sid never had a propensity to do that. Just ask JR. We're live, pal. Keep going.
Hilarious.
Yeah, just go pop, pop, pop. But I mean, he was trying to show Big Papa Pump. He still got the guns.
He looks at him like, "Fuck did you just say?"
Yeah,
and he's still talking. And
yeah.
He goes,
I'll never forget that story D'Lo Brown told us when we met him at the bar that one night. He was talking about how Scott Steiner was like, yeah, if I got one woman, that means I got 3 women. If I got 3 women, that means I got 5, and that means I got a bunch of women. Or, it's like what? Yeah, and I'll never forget. We asked him, or no, our buddy Lane asked him, do you have any Scott Steiner stories? He just looked at us and goes, and walks off. He's like, and then he come back 10 minutes later with a story, but he was just like, you had to ask that one. Man. So yeah, D'Lo Brown, amazing guy if you ever get a chance to meet him. So a lot of fun. Shout out to the Cade as well. Great place to go check out for some wrestling trivia and stuff like that. So Leo Rush then interrupted as Team Taz is going on his spiel here, or his spiel, whatever. Saying Taz should know he's had the odds stacked against him his entire career. He's going to win the Dynamite dozen. These people know that he is a fighter. Taz said that Leo Rush should just retire, and Dante Martin and Ricky Starks came out to taunt Rush and protect Taz. I don't know if you saw this, but Dante Martin is now with Team Taz. Taz was trying to recruit him, and during the few weeks we had off here, I think it was last week, Taz presented him a contract, and Leo Rush was standing in the room. Leo Rush tried to stop him, but Dante Martin grabbed the contract and stopped Leo Rush and basically just signed it and walked away from Leo. So Dante Martin just joins Team Taz.
Weird way to go about it.
It's odd. But I agree, and I don't know exactly where they're going with this.
Because
So yeah, Leo Rush is on his own right now.
If anybody who should have signed that contract
should have been Leo.
Yeah, because that's the whole way you were marketing Leo to begin with. And everybody thought that he'd be the one who turns on Dante at some point because it's all for profit in his mind.
I don't know. It's an interesting wrinkle. Like I said, I'm interested to see where this goes, especially with the Darius Martin stuff. I don't know when he's coming back, but it seems to me like right now it's going to be Ricky Starks and Dante Martin as a tag team.
That's a weird way to go about
it. Or maybe it's just a way for Dante Martin to kind of screw over Team Taz and maybe get a shot at Ricky Stark's FTW title. I don't know. We'll see where this goes, but I'm intrigued because, like you said, it's a little unorthodox and it's a little different. And kind of out of left field because, like you said, we were kind of expecting it to go the other way, and all of a sudden, last week I was just like, because I was watching, I was like, that didn't go the way I thought it would at all.
But now you've made somebody who shouldn't have been a babyface.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you could do Leo Rush as a babyface, but
no, not with his current gimmick.
Well, not the way they were doing it. You're right. Yeah, he was kind of like, you're now my, and maybe that's why Dante left him though, because he was trying to make all the decisions for him. That's maybe why it makes some sense. But why you joined Team Taz, I don't know. Maybe you just had
literally Taz makes all the decisions.
We've not heard one word out of Dante Martin since. So
it's like this weird way how like Matt Hardy and the Hardy family, or Enterprise.
He just kind of recruits them, kind of screws them over money wise, and so there's a little bit of that.
It's the same deal when he got with Private Party. How it was like everybody knows what he's doing with Sleazy. It's the same thing here.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'll be interested to see where this goes, but definitely not the way I saw it going.
If Taz at some point doesn't say we do it for family, I'm done. That's who he is. He is fucking Dom Toretto right now.
Dominic Toretto. We got family, but
for family,
we go into space because we'll jump the shark. No,
family.
Anyhow, Jade Cargill and Mark Sterling were backstage. They said that Cargill would face off against Thunder Rosa, her student Janai Kai on Rampage. Rosa interrupted, saying she'd be on commentary. So more commentary guys observing their opponents. A lot of that this week. So
it's not a bad way to go about it. Scott your opponent.
No, it's just let's just don't overdo it too. We had like 3 or 4 of these tonight. But I get with JR. JR is not normally on Rampage. With Jericho not being on Rampage this week, they made a point of that because Jericho got attacked in the back. He must have some sort of prior obligation or whatnot. But so yeah, they're trying to fill some roles for some of these commentary gaps and having some people get get their feet wet on the commentary positions. Not a bad idea either. Kind of work on their promo skills and things like that. So nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I expect Jade Cargill to squash this poor girl. TBS Championship Tournament. Ruby Soho then defeated Best Friends member Chris Statlander here. They put on a really good match, though. I ain't gonna lie. These two women worked their asses off. I thought both these women looked very much improved. So yeah, Soho went for no future, but Statlander blocked it. Soho reversed the Big Bang Theory into a victory roll cradle for the win here. Very fun match. They definitely did a lot of near falls at one point. It looked like Soho was going to beat Statlander earlier, but Statlander, they made a point that her strong, powerful legs was able to kick out after some of these moves here. And
she do got that.
She got them legs, man. And yeah, and this was a great match. And Ruby Soho looked very emotionally overwhelmed after the match, like she couldn't believe she won it. So they did a great job of building her up. I think her and Jade Cargill, out of the 4 remaining women, Thunder Rosa, Nyla Rose being the other 2, I think Cargill and Soho are the 2 leading candidates, I think, to probably be in the finals and maybe win the title by the end of this here. Cargill's not lost yet.
Statlander's still a hell of a contender.
She is,
man.
and she's going to be just fine.
That match she had with Britt Baker was dope.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's going to be good. I think she'll get there. Just not quite her time just yet, but she'll get there. She's had a few opportunities and failed. Now, I think she had one against Britt Baker earlier this year as well.
Yep.
But after the match, Nyla Rose, Soho's semifinal round opponent, attacked Ruby Soho in the ring. Statlander chased her off, though. So, yeah, just kind of giving that little tease for their upcoming tournament matchup. Then they ran down the card for Rampage, Dynamite, and Winter is Coming. Just the one title match so far, so that'll be some good shows coming up. Then we had the main event, an Atlanta street fight, Cody Rhodes versus Andrade El Idolo. This match was, no pun intended, straight fire. This match was incredible. They brawled in the crowd from the opening jump when Cody Rhodes was coming out of the ring. He got jumped by Andrade, and Jose Abrahantes tried to jump Arn Anderson, who immediately accidentally fell off the stage. But luckily there was a scaffold there. He landed, so he didn't fall far. But poor guy, Jose had to pull him up to kind of continue their little manager brawl. But this started off great. It was interesting to note, too, throughout the entire match, especially early on, it was noticeable, very noticeable. Cody Rhodes' upper back, it was peeling something fierce, like he just had a horrible sunburn at the beach. This guy was, you had to just see it. Like, literally, you could just grab a piece and just rip. I mean, it was all over the place. It was I was like, what is going on with this guy's back? It was very distracting. But by the end of this match, I have a couple theories. We'll get into that. But yeah, these guys, using chairs. And at one point, Cody Rhodes even pulled out a sledgehammer from underneath the ring, teasing the Triple H thing. Then he threw that down, pulled out a golden shovel, and then he whacked Abrahantes in the head with it. So teasing that, he was getting booed. This is Cody Rhodes' hometown. So he was getting booed a little, but he was getting a lot of let's go Cody stuff. It was kind of that John Cena thing. Let's go Cody. Cody sucks. That old deal. But with that being said, though, these two absolutely had a banger of a match. Back and forth. I mean, I just can't say enough about it. I was thoroughly entertained with this. The ending came out when Andrade brought in another table and perched Cody on top of it. He climbed the ropes, but Cody rolled off and met Andrade up top. Cody crushed Andrade on the ropes from behind. Then Brandy Rhodes made her return and doused lighter fluid on the table set up behind them. Then she lit the whole thing on fire. Cody hit the reverse DDT, or it was more of a reverse superplex off the top through the flaming table, burning himself because when he went for the cover, Cody was still on fire. His pants, his arm, bare skin, was still on fire when he made the cover on Andrade. Even so, Andrade noticed that he was putting it out as he was being covered here. But Cody Rhodes gets the win here in a spectacular finish. But so, seeing the fact that this was fire involved, I wonder either if Cody tried this spot out early on and that's why his back was peeling. Maybe it didn't go the way it was supposed to. Maybe he got some burns, or it was some sort of flame retardant stuff he had on his back that just dried up, or maybe his sweat got it peeling. I don't know which it was, but either way, great finish here. It was, and the crowd absolutely loved this because anytime you got a flaming table,
you got
of course
fire
the crowd.
involved. Yeah.
And of course, it's Cody's hometown, so he gets the babyface win in his hometown. You're not going to be able to pull this off in some towns with him getting booed, but for this night alone, I thought this was incredible. So I definitely recommend you go check this out. Andrade was great. I'm not giving him enough credit, but he was great in this match as well. So interesting, too, to note with Andrade, there was a lot of talk this week, too. Apparently, Andrade, I don't know if he's back to following her or not, but he unfollowed Charlotte on Twitter, which interesting. I don't want to get into all the gossip territory of this, but interesting to note, just so we know here. But
he might have been doing it as part of to keep her out of trouble too.
That could be too. There's a lot of things that could be reasons for it, and maybe he's following her again now. I don't know, but a lot of people were speculating. Did they break up? You know how people are. But we'll.
No, I don't think that's it.
Whatever. But yeah, Andrade, great match here. There was one spot too where Andrade went for his moonsault where he kind of does that other flip, but during the moonsault, Cody had a chair. He slammed it right in his face during the moonsault. That was great too. A lot of great spots in this match. These guys were just going tooth and nail, so definitely check it out. But that will do it for AEW Dynamite this week. Did you have any other thoughts on the show, where they're going, or anything? You looking forward to Winter is Coming with
I'm
Bryan
looking forward to
Danielson
Winter
and Hangman?
Yes.
Obviously, I think Bryan Danielson's going to lose his first match at AEW. Hopefully clean. Let's go. It's fine. He can take a clean loss against the champ. It's not a problem. But we'll just have to wait and see what they do with that. And maybe if they fill this other card out, maybe with Punk and MJF, we'll have to see. Or if they hold that off for another time. But all things considered, AEW once again. AEW. They had a good show. And I still want to see him do more with Rampage. It's not quite what I want it to be just yet, but it's the fastest hour in pro wrestling. There's nothing wrong with that. But they'll get there. It's going to take time. But the Dynamite, another great. One of their better Dynamites over the last few weeks. I actually thought so. They didn't just phone it in because it's time for the holidays. So I'm very appreciative of that. We'll see where they go. So with that being said, I guess we're going to wrap it up this evening. Unless Brandon's got anything else he'd like to add before we get out of here tonight.
Yeah. Fucking stop making Jurassic Park movies.
He hates dinosaurs.
No, actually, I fucking love dinosaurs. Don't you ever in your life say I don't like dinosaurs.
Favorite dinosaur?
Stegosaurus.
Stego, okay. I would say Velociraptor, but those weren't real. Though that's not. Well, they were real, but not like the movie version.
He goes. Hashtag not real.
T-Rex is always going to be.
You're right. They were covered in fucking feathers, but still.
Which reminds me, I'll have to show you that clip before we leave here real quick. But
Stegosaurus would be my favorite herbivore. As far as carnivores go, I was never really a fan of T-Rex. I was more a fan of Allosaurus.
Okay.
He was bigger than a T-Rex and his arms were longer.
I ain't gonna lie, Torosaurus is pretty cool. I kind of like the way he looks.
No, not Torosaurus, Allosaurus.
Baryonyx look pretty cool.
Baryonyx is pretty cool. Oh, what's the
crap?
I've been playing too much Evolution too.
the one with the hammer on the tail.
Ankylosaurus.
I think it's the Ankylosaurus.
He's got a big old
like
ball.
Turtle back. Yeah.
Ankylosaurus. It's one of my favorites.
Those are my third favorites.
Cool. All right. Well, with that being said, let us know what you guys think about all these topics. What do you think about AEW, the trivia, Spider-Man, Jack Sparrow, Sabine recasting, Denny
Not
DeVito
Jack
playing,
Sparrow.
Not Jack Sparrow. Brandon's got his issues with it, but that's okay. But comment below, let us know what you guys think. And then by all means, if you're finding us for the very first time, or you are a returning viewer and have not yet done so, please click that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you get all the notifications about when we put up new content right here on this channel. And also share this video. It helps us grow the channel here and things like that. And we'll hopefully be posting some more videos in the next coming weeks or so. Definitely doing, especially one a week like this episode you're seeing right here. I'd like to do some short videos, and one of these days we're going to get into some video game streams too. So we're definitely going to be putting stuff here on the channel. So definitely check us out here. All right, with that being said, we're going to get out of here, everybody. So until our next video, guys, take care.
We're going to get Jurassic Park Christmas movie. Watch.
Oh, God, he's going to be wearing a Santa hat.
All
and
right,
white
fucking
beard.
sign off.
All right, out of here.
We about to turn it on.